Hi, before I send you off to think a little bit more about Euthyphro and his character, let me just make a few more comments about these, what I'm calling effective or moral attributes that Plato believes a philosopher needs. Here they are again. And the first one is detachment from worldly goods. And by worldly goods, we mean things like wealth, reputation, fame, good connections, creaturely comforts, social standing. The problem I think Plato sees with these is that we are often motivated by pleasure or gratification here and not the good. And so detachment allows us to focus on what's more important. And for Socrates, that's wisdom, good action, and care of his soul. So these things are not to be totally thwarted, but we are to maintain a kind of a detachment from it, kind of like the way the Christians think about detachment from worldly goods. And a good example of Socrates' detachment is his lifestyle himself. He lived a life of simplicity. In the Apology, Socrates says that he will chastise Athenians for their love of wealth, reputation, and honors, and their negligence of their souls. Later on in the pre-sentencing phase, Socrates says he wants to persuade others not to care for their belongings before they care for to be as good and wise as possible. So it isn't an either or thing, but it's more of a ranking thing here about how important we put certain things. Our second one is single-minded and single-hearted devotion to the truth and wisdom. So this is the idea of unity of life, that we don't live two lives, one life during the week, one life on Sunday, as they say, that we live, everything that we do is at least consistent with, if not focused on, a purpose in life. Unity of life brings clarity and vision and a sense of purpose. In the Apology, Socrates says we should be good above all. A good man cannot be harmed in life or death, he says at the end of the Apology. Willingness to stand in opposition to the common wisdom. So courage is the idea of not letting your fears conquer you, fears of not being liked, fears of being different, being strange. We don't be strange just for the sake of being strange, but we be devoted to the truth for the sake of the truth. It's tough to disagree with people, particularly what most people think. And if they're going to think we're wrong, we might be tempted to take their view rather than to hold on to what we believe is the truth. In the Apology, Socrates says he's not ashamed to have followed the kind of occupation that puts him in danger. A man who is any good at all, he says, should only ask what he is doing is the right or wrong thing. Intellectual humility. So humility is not abasement, but it's more a truthful assessment of one's situation and one's character. It's not docility, it's not, gullibility, it's docility, which is the idea of willing to be taught, willing to learn. Maybe sometimes people call this as being open-minded. The incident with the oracle statement is a good example of Socrates' own humility and the way he understands it. It doesn't see himself as being better than anyone else. He's no better than anybody else. But his wisdom, he says, is only human wisdom, worth little or nothing. Later on, we'll see examples of this in the Phaedo when we look at Socrates' arguments for life after death. Finally, vocation, or the sense of being called. Socrates claims over and over that he has a mission, that the mission is divine in some way. The mission is to search for wisdom in Athens, to help people discover they are not wise, and to persuade people to care about their souls. This connects back to the second one, this single-minded and single-hearted devotion to the truth. It's important that Socrates be seen as practicing what he preaches in order for his message to be taken seriously. So all in all, we see a rather different kind of person in Socrates, and a person who's willing to see what he's doing as not just being different, but as being better, as being a benefit to not just his life, but to everybody's life. And this is Plato's idea that philosophy is a kind of excellence for humans, that this is what humans are called to do. Not the only thing they have to do, but one of the things that they certainly should have as part of their life. Okay, now we'll end this one and send you off to do a little bit of thinking about how Euthyphro measures up to these characters.